buy gold and silver. It's wealth, and it will protect you for the big picture. And I meant that. I do mean that.
Andy Schectman discusses the current state of the market for metals. He explains that there is a massive demand for metals and that supply is beginning to be curtailed. He also notes that when mints run out of product, it is a sign that supply is dwindling.
And now we're seeing things, massive demand, coupled with supply that is beginning to be curtailed. And when you see these mints run out of product, it's game over in terms of supply, because one of the reasons that they say there's no metals market, or no bull market rather, like a metals bull market, is because the others are centered around greed. And again, greed is not really what I mean. It's just the way to describe it. Making money, you want a profit. That's what is the motivation for most investments. This isn't. And that's why I am very adamant about always saying that what we sell is wealth. It is not an investment. It will make you wealthy if you own enough of it. It will perform like an investment, especially in the case of silver, but it is historical wealth. My buzz phrase that I always use has lived through 2 world wars, German hyperinflation, the Great Depression, every pandemic, and everything the frickin' world has thrown at it. And it's still the only asset that the central banks around the world own and are accumulating, all of them. And it's wealth. And I think that is what has been missed, to your point at the beginning of this conversation. What does it take for people to wake up? And the reactionary attitude of the people in this country is what will be their undoing. They will not be prepared at the last minute. It's as if, oh, let's just slow the Titanic down a little bit before we hit the iceberg so everyone can blow up their life raft. No, it's too late if you haven't already prepared. It's getting to that hour. And when you see these mints going on allocation, when you see the Canadian Mint saying, sorry, we've overcommitted and aren't able to deliver what we thought we could, when you see the fact that in a bull market like this, no one sells when the prices go higher. That's the difference.
Right.
Because additional investments, when the prices go way up, you're supposed to sell and play with the house's money and redeploy. But here, the rising price only seeks to legitimize people's concern to begin with. See, I told you, it's getting crazy out there, man. And I'm not selling. In fact, I'm going to double down. That's the way it is. And that's why they say there is no bull market like a metals bull market, because it feeds on itself out of concern. And I'll tell you, I've never been concerned in 33 years in doing this until right now.
Andy Schectman emphasizes that gold and silver are not just investments, but historical wealth. He explains that owning enough gold and silver can make one wealthy, and that silver is especially valuable in this regard. He also discusses the global implications of investing in metals, noting that countries like China are building infrastructure in other countries, such as railways and refineries, which is helping to bring those countries into the middle class.
The things that are happening right now that are being ignored by the media is unbelievable. The media hasn't said a word about the fact that the only adult in the room, for the first time in 5 centuries, the West is not involved in mediations. And you have China striking through a broker deal peace accords between Saudi Arabia and Iran, mortal enemies, Sunni and Shiite. They're now building embassies in each other's countries. They are shaking hands and agreeing to mutual beneficial relationships. That, I always say, my enemy's enemy is my friend. Who brokered this deal? China did. Iran and Iraq, in a broker deal between China, for the first time ever, building a railway between the 2 countries. Mutual beneficial against a common enemy or a common cause, and that is the Western hegemony. This is their one shot, and they know it. And what is happening outside the country, with countries like China going in and building infrastructure in all of these countries, building ports and bridges and roads and railways and refineries and oil and gas rigs and gold and silver mines and whatever, they're doing it not only for their own benefit, but for the country whom they're helping industrialize and bring into the middle class. Australia and New Zealand contemplating joining the BRICS. And yes, our allies and even those who are part of the G7 are contemplating joining BRICS. And this is becoming an issue where you can see this formation is growing by the day. Unfortunately, most of the people in this country don't see outside the borders, and they're not looking, and
Yeah.
they're everything that's wrong.
Yeah.
And so you could argue what's happening inside the borders is screwing the pooch really bad,
Yeah.
messing things up really bad, but it's only incentivizing and accelerating
Yeah.
the global de-dollarization and the increasing unity of the BRICS countries and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization that Saudi Arabia has also just applied for as well, not just the BRICS, not just telling the world that we are going to be open to taking other currencies, not just signing a military agreement with Russia, but now applying as a dialogue partner with the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. They are getting into bed with these countries that represent 80% of the human population that aren't going green.
Yep.
And when they say to the West, we are no longer taking dollars for oil, bang, like that, shit gets real. And the dollar collapses, creating a tsunami of inflation that hit our shores, interest rates spike, and assets, all of them that are inversely correlated to this spike, that being stocks, bonds, and real estate, collapse. It's the Great Reset.
Andy Schectman explains the reasons for talking about buying silver. It's not to get rich, but to protect yourself because central banks are doing it. He talks about the increasing purchase of gold by central banks and the acceleration of this trend.
These are the things that people need to understand. These are the reasons that I come on your show and talk about buying silver. It is not to get rich.
Right.
It is to protect yourself because the biggest money in the world is doing it. And why else would the central banks buy more gold than at any time since 67, the second most in history? And if you look at the January numbers that just came out, 197% increase month over month from December to January. They're doubling down. So this is the real deal, and it's beginning to accelerate. And these are why we do what we do and talk about what we do. I guess the bottom line is that when I look outside the border, I see a new drive towards mutual settlements in national currencies between Asia, Africa, and Latin America and South America. And when you have Putin come out and say that they are for using yuan as the new trade currency for all of these countries until and while the discussions are finalized regarding the new BRICS reserve currency backed by gold and or commodities as we've been promised, or the Shanghai Cooperation Organization gold settlement currency. Any way you look at it, they're all moving away from the dollar. And then one piece that just happened the other day, we're just dead. And I think that in and of itself will make the price of gold and silver skyrocket.
Yeah.
And when you listen to Xi Jinping say goodbye to Putin the other day, and I quote, he says, "Now there are changes that haven't happened in 100 years. When we are together, we drive these changes," Xi says. And he says, I agree.
As we come to the end of this video, I hope you found it informative and thought-provoking. If you have any thoughts or questions about the topics discussed in this video, please leave a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay up to date with our latest content. See you in the next one.